Hello students. In this video we are going to see how to design a questionnaire. So that's the topic, questionnaire designing. It is a part of unit 3, business research methods, and it is going to be dealt by me, Amruta Hippagaonkar, assistant professor at MBA department, KK Wagh Institute of Engineering Education and Research, Nasik. To begin with, I have just added an conversation comic strip which has created by myself. So you can see there is a conversation between a teacher and a student. So teacher says that let's begin the particular lecture with the topic of how to prepare a questionnaire. So before starting with, can anyone tell me what is a questionnaire? Please come on dais and share. So a particular boy comes and he says the questionnaire is considered as primary survey and it helps in knowing the opinion of people with a list of questions. So good. Can you elaborate with one example? The teacher asks. The student says, a survey on customer perception on our new website. So questions can be, how satisfied are you with the colors and style of our new website? So the teacher says you could link it, but you have mixed two questions in one question, which can create confusion in participants. So the student asks, then what it should be, ma'am? So teacher says there are two questions. How satisfied are you with the color of our new website? It's the first question, and the second question is, how satisfied are you with the style of our new website? They need to be asked to the participants separately to get effective results. Got it? Yes, ma'am, thank you. With this little conversation comic strip, I want to convey the message that students are usually confused that what exactly the questions should be, what exactly they should pose. So thinking all these things in the mind, I have tried to create this video where I will be trying to provide insight to students that how should we design a questionnaire and what all aspects need to be considered while designing a questionnaire. And this will form the base for them in even carrying out their summer internship projects or dissertations, or even in the future wherever they get placed, they can carry out this particular basics with which they will be able to design a questionnaire, and they will be and it will help in succeeding in their particular research. So let's move on to our topic. So the learning objectives is to understand the stepwise process involved in designing a questionnaire, and even to develop questionnaire to encourage the person to respond meaningfully to them and get effective results. So here the basic, I have tried to tell you why I have prepared this video, so that I can make the students aware of the basics of how they should design a questionnaire. Yeah, let's move on to the main content of the video. Steps for designing a questionnaire. So before going for the steps for designing a questionnaire, why we need to prepare a questionnaire? A questionnaire is prepared to analyze a particular problem, right? Usually in research, wherever you go, there is a research, right? Why we do research? Because there have arise some problem, and to solve that particular problem, usually we go for research. This is the basic thing which leads to many research. Yeah, even you can relate this with many of the examples, the way innovations have happened, because they have done the research, and that's why this even light was invented because there was darkness, right? The problem was that there was darkness at the night, so how you are going to see? There should be some source, right? So invent light. Yeah, nowadays we have LED lights, so development is happening there. So research is going on, and you are seeing the changes in the product nowadays, right? So why is this happening? Because with the help of the research, right? So in that research we have many of the types and many of the tools are there based on which we can do the research, right? So the first one here is the questionnaire and among them I am using the one is questionnaire. So while we are using the questionnaire, it is in primary data we are trying to collect from the customers. We are taking the opinion of the customers, and we are trying to collect the information, and we are trying to see that what exactly the particular customer wants, and based on that we will be trying to solve the problem. We will take many of the examples where you will be trying to analyze that why questionnaire is required, right? So then coming into the steps for designing a questionnaire, criteria for questionnaire designing, that is what are the criteria for designing the questionnaire, and then comes is the questionnaire designing procedure we'll be seeing, and determining the types of questions, how many types of questions are there and what need to be included, questionnaire structure, and then pilot testing and administering. Let's move on to the criteria for questionnaire designing. Here there are usually the research objectives should be properly defined. The first and foremost requirement is the research objective, which must be converted into clear questions which will extract answers from the respondent. So for example, if one wants to know something like what is the margin that a company gives to the retailer, this cannot be converted into direct question, as no one will give correct answers, right? Because no one wants to be like, oh, why should I give the margin answer to him, like why I being a retailer, why I being a company, why I should give the information, financial information to the opposite person, right? So similarly, we can consider the example of survey on NPA's effect on banks, and whenever you go to the banks, they won't reveal the exact NPA figure, right? Isn't it? It's true, because they have to see their own profits also, right? So all these things are there, right? So you need to see what your research objective is and are they properly defined, and based on that you will be trying to find out that how you are going to phrase the questions based on it. The next one under this criteria for questionnaire designing is meaningful responses. The second requirement is to design the questionnaire to engage the respondent and encourage a meaningful response. For example, a questionnaire measuring the stress cannot have a numerous set of questions which bores the participants to answer so many questions. Questions should be non-threatening and must encourage response and must be clear to understand. That is, they need to analyze, that is, the participants should be encouraged to respond to your questions, rather than giving lot of numerous questions and asking them, posing them lot of questions makes the particular respondent irritated, and even they get threatened. So it shouldn't be threatening. And even the next one is the self-explanatory. It should be self-explanatory, not confusing, right? And the types, there are types of questionnaires. We'll be seeing that in detail in our further things. But basic of types are construction or formalized, which refers to the degree to which the response category has been defined. That is, formalized is nothing but you are trying to formalize the things, that is, response category you are trying to define there. And the other one comes is the concealed. Concealed refers to the degree to which the purpose of the study is explained or is clear to the respondents. So concealed means it is the degree to which the purpose of the study is explained, and even it is clear to the respondents that what exactly is the objective of doing this particular research, right? So this is the criteria for questionnaire designing, that is, it should take all these aspects into the consideration while you are going for the designing a questionnaire, right? Then comes criteria for questionnaire designing. Under that we have 4 types. So we'll be seeing each one of them, and then I'll be trying to explain you with examples, and then I'll try to tell you what the significance of each of them is. So first one is the formalized and unconcealed. So this is one that is indiscriminately and most frequently used by all management researchers. For example, if a new brokerage wants to understand the investment behavior of the population under study, they would structure the questions and answers as given there. So do you carry out any investments? So you will be answering yes or no, right? So if yes, continue, yes, else terminate. So if you are saying that you carry out any investments, then yeah, go to the second question. Out of the following options, where do you invest? Tick all that apply. So precious metals do you invest, real estate, stocks, government instruments, mutual funds, any other. Then third question will be, who carries out your investments? So myself, agent, relative, friend, any other. So here what basically the formalized and unconcealed says that it is not unconcealed. They are trying to pose the questions directly to you, and it is in a formal way. That is, do you carry out any investments? Yes or no? If you are saying yes, proceed to the further questions, and general questions they are trying to ask here. So that is why this sort of questions are easy to administer because they are direct and they are not concealed one, so everyone will be able to answer it very easily, even administered effectively to a large number of people at the same time. Even one of the advantages of this particular formalized and unconcealed questionnaire design is that is they can be easily administered and effectively administered into a large number of people also, and even high reliability can be there here because the content because the findings whatever you are going to get from that particular questions are going to help a lot, right? This is regarding formalized and concealed. Coming to our next topic is formalized, non-formalized and concealed. So try to this particular type of questionnaire design tries to reveal the latent cause of behavior which cannot be determined by direct questions. It maps basic values, opinions and beliefs of the respondent. So asking what happened in the earlier method we have seen was like we were trying to ask the direct questions, right? So asking a direct question would only reveal apparent information. Thus, some disguised attitudinal questions would need to be asked in order to infer this. That is, you need to ask some questions in a disguised form so that you can infer or you can try to find out something which cannot be which you cannot derive from the previous method, right? So the logic behind this test of attitude is that the questions do not seem to be in a particular direction and are apparently non-threatening. Thus the respondent gives an answer which would be in the general direction of his or her own attitude, right? So these are structured and can be quantified, whereas statistical tools can be applied such as t-test, chi-square test can be applied, ANOVA can be applied, because quantitative results are generated with the help of this particular method. So these are structured and can be quantified. Psychographic questions like these, like given in the particular questions example shown in the video will help you understand that it increases the subject coverage and improve the validity of the instrument as well. So let's look at the example given here. That is, please indicate your level of agreement with the following statements. I believe that one must live for the day and worry about tomorrow later. So a particular questionnaire has been designed here where an attitude opinion, that is what is your opinion regarding reading, they have tried to take it, right? So the first question posed was, I believe that one must live for the day and worry about tomorrow later. Books are the best friends anyone can have. Second one. Third one, I generally read and decide what to buy. The fourth one, my lifestyle is so hectic that I do not have time for reading the newspaper. So here you are trying to see what is the attitude of the person towards reading. So what is his habit towards reading, right? And here we have given the scale, that is strongly agree, do you agree, neutral, disagree or strongly disagree. So here you can try to find out. Here it is concealed questions, right? Whereas in the earlier method, as we have seen, it was not concealed, right? So here it is concealed and you come to know that is what exactly the particular attitude of that particular researcher, that is a particular respondent is. So got it clear? So to quantify the primary response data, most research make use of questions that are designed both as formalized unconcealed and formalized concealed. So most of the business research and everything researchers, they use this two kind of formalized concealed and formalized unconcealed method to get the data from the respondents, right? So we have seen two methods, formalized unconcealed, and now we have seen formalized concealed. Let's move to the third type of a designing. This one is the non-formalized, this one is the non-formalized unconcealed, right? So some researchers argue that the respondent is not really cognizant of his or her attitude towards certain things. Also, this method asks him to give structured responses to attitudinal statements that essentially express attitudes in a manner that researcher or expert think is the correct way. This, however, might not be the way person thinks. Thus, rather than giving them pre-designed response categories, it is better to give them unstructured questions where he has the freedom of expressing himself the way he wants to, right? So here that is what is there. You can see the example given below, where it happens that it is an unformalized and even unconcealed. It is that you are randomly posing the questions to the audience, and not even randomly. That is, you are not that is, you are trying to give them an. In the earlier sections, if you see earlier methods, what happened was like you were trying to restrict on the options, right? You were trying to give the options and you were asking them to select. But here what it says is like, keep it open, right? So as you can see in the example, what has been the reason for the success of the Toyota production system that the organization has undertaken? Please specify 5 most significant reasons according to you. So here, as a respondent, I would give many of the reasons. I can go with the Zidoka, I can go with the 5S it has implemented, with the lean management practices it has implemented. It has many of the concepts like Six Sigma. So I can choose any of the 5. So and according to me, those are the most significant reasons, right? And then signals I can go with. But other respondents might see that there can be another option also, right? So that is why this becomes an open-ended question sort of. Then the second question also you can observe, why do you think pizza is liked by young children? So as you can observe, right, in the young children nowadays, pizza is becoming like a craze, yeah. And even in this COVID scenario, if we can see that many of the kids are like, oh, we want pizza, and making a pizza at home. We are making the pizzas at home, right? So that is what even the thing is. So here you are keeping an open-ended question. So I on my opinion, it can be like the generation has changed, right? That's why that's why young children are going for the pizzas. Earlier they used to eat only healthy food. Now junk food is attracted more of them. So it depends upon respondent to respondent what their views are. So they can express their views in the given lines. Similarly, and one more example, what can be the reason for kids attracted towards television, computer or LCD screens in today's scenario? So here it is an open thing. You can answer anything, right? What the reasons can be. The reasons can be different according to me and according to some other person, right? So that is what is non-formalized unconcealed method is. The advantage is respondent can respond in any way they want. This is a big advantage. And comprehensive perspective it is. And it is higher validity because I know what exactly I want. So higher validity is there. Quantification is a little tedious because it cannot be quantified, because many of them people will go with many of the answers, right? So quantification, it is a little tedious job here and cannot go beyond frequency and percentages to represent the findings. The major disadvantage in this is researchers' bias will be there, which might lead to clubbing responses into categories which might not be homogeneous in nature. That is, he can go with the whatever qualities he liked and he might choose the particular one only. So this is a disadvantage found in this particular method. Non-formalized concealed is the last one under the 4th thing. So if the objective of the research study is to uncover socially unacceptable desires and latent or subconscious and unconscious motivations, the researcher use questions of low structure and disguised purpose. The situation or questions are ambiguous. It is most likely that the relevant revelation it would result in would be more rich and meaningful. As we see, the stages are increasing, right? More and more clarity we are trying to get, and more and more rich and meaningful senses we are trying to get it from the particular method by choosing the types of questionnaire, right? I'll explain you this method with the example quoted here. A survey was conducted with 20 respondents, and it was found that they gave a list of grocery items and grocery items which included day-to-day life's grocery items, and in that list there were 2 lists were prepared. One was with cream and moisturizer and one was without cream and moisturizer, and these 20 respondents were asked to guess that this list might be prepared by whom. So can you guess, based on the list given, what can be the characteristics or what can be the particular person maybe, right? So you can observe from the table the list which included cream and moisturizer. Usually what happens is, like, we tend to get the meaning that whenever a list includes a cream and moisturizer, it is by a female person, right? And which the list which does not includes cream and moisturizer, it goes usually with a as we say, like, it is usually prepared by boys, right? We have that sort of thing in our brain, right? So you can see even the findings whatever have been observed are very good. So that's why I included this example. 65% said this person was good looking in the list with cream and moisturizer, and 5% said typical male. That is, it is a typical male person, and 25% said a 20-year-old person. He might have made the particular list. 48% said has a girlfriend. That's why he made. So it was asked, does he has a girlfriend? So 48% said yes, he has a girlfriend, and 46% said that he has a boyfriend, right? Now coming to the other part of this particular questionnaire, we can look at list without cream and moisturizer. So 10% said this man was good looking. 39% said 30 plus in age they are, right? 30 plus in age he is. So 39% said yes, yeah, we agree to this. 90% said that he is rugged and manly type of thing, and 38% said has a girlfriend, and the last one is very interesting. No one spoke of boyfriend. So can you imagine? That is because cream and moisturizer was there, so they were like, no one spoke of boyfriend here. So it changes that is, you are trying to get more rich and meaningful findings with the help of this kind of survey, this kind of questionnaire. So here actually cost, time and effort are additional elements which might curtail the use of these techniques. That is why people doesn't go with these techniques, because it requires a lot of time. And under this we usually go with in a schedule. The interviewer reads out each questions. Even there is a one-off type, that is scheduling. That is, you schedule, that is, interviewers reads out each question and make a note of the respondent's answer. So these are the 4 types of design questionnaires. We will see for the next slide. So criteria for questionnaire designing, we can see that 4 types are presented in a 2x2 matrix, and it has been presented by Deepak Chawla. You can see in his books also. The examples are also quoted from the particular book. So you can see formalized and unconcealed. Most research studies use standardized questionnaire like this. And under non-formalized unconcealed, the response categories have more flexibility. So as we have seen, right, with the examples, that is, there is more flexibility here. And concealed formalized will have used for assessing psychographic and subjective constructs. So wherever there are attitudinal measures and everything, we go with this particular concealed and formalized one. And under the 4th matrix, that is concealed non-formalized questionnaire using projective techniques such as or sociometric analysis, there we go with the concealed non-formalized questionnaire design format. Clear with what are the criteria for questionnaire designing. So you need to analyze where your research objective fits among this particular 4 quadrants, and based on that you need to pose questions to the people so that you can get most of the findings through this particular survey, whatever you are trying to do with the help of the questionnaire. Next one is the questionnaire designing procedure. The next part is questionnaire designing procedure, where the research objective, the first step is converting the research objective to information needed. Though based on this we will be trying to see that what exactly the information is needed, and based on that you will be trying to find out what question is, what sort of, right, we have seen in the previous section, that is what sort of questions need to be included, whether it should be formalized concealed, formalized unconcealed, non-formalized concealed, or non-formalized unconcealed, right? So where do we fit? We need to analyze it. And then comes is the second one is the method of administering questionnaire. That is, what are the types of questionnaires are available. We'll be seeing this in detail in the next slides. And criteria, what should be set, and then structure, how it should be, how you are going with the structure. So method of administering is very important here, because we need to assist the respondent to answers also, and even the perspective, if it is not clear, it will not try to gain the information, right? So that is why all these things need to be included. So method of administering questionnaire is like you need to brainstorm here. That is why I have chosen that picture, where you need to find out that what exactly the questions need to be posed and in what way they should be posed, so that you can derive some conclusion out of it, right? So the next part is the presentation of the questionnaire. So once you have decided that which questionnaires you are going to include and what part of questionnaire you are going to include and how you are trying to see it, or do we need to ask several questions instead of a single one. Once you are trying to find out and how we are going to motivate the respondents to answer those particular questions, and all these things, once you evaluate and once you are trying to fix the particular thing, you try to go for the presentation of the question and how you are going to present the sequences and everything, which we will be discussing in the further slides. And then comes is the pilot testing and administering the questionnaire. So once you are done with this part, you go with the pilot testing and administering the questionnaire, and we will discuss all these things in detail in the further video, right? According to that, we have aligned the objective with the particular information needed. Then comes is the determining types of questions. So usually the question content has two types, open-ended and closed-ended. We have seen in the open-ended, right? These are the termed as open-ended, but the openness refers to the option of responding in one's own words, right? So they are also referred to as unstructured questions or free response or free answer questions. That is, if you see in open-ended questions, the respondent can use his own language, and based on that he will be trying to answer the questions. For example, I like Nescafe because dash. So you can keep the dash and you can ask the respondent to answer, why do you like Nescafe? So he can reply to it based on his own opinion, right? So my career goal is to dash. So here also he has his own opinion, right? So open-ended questions can typically be used for three reasons. First, they can be used in the beginning to start the questioning process. For example, a questionnaire on investment behavior could begin with, how do you think people manage their savings, right? So the open-ended questions can be a starting booster also, it can be. So where the respondent get boosted that, okay, I can write on my own thing, right? So I will write that, okay, I go with this thing, I have this opinion, right? So the first one is this, first reason has been this. The second one is, it can also be used as probing or clarifying questions to understand the reason behind certain responses. For example, why do you feel that way? So that is, you are trying to ask them. For example, you have asked the opinion regarding a newspaper, whether you like Lokmat Times or you like Hindu Times. So they might have asked you this particular. So you have responded that I like so and so newspaper. So based on that, why do you feel that way? You are asking a question. So at that time you use open-ended questions. And the thirdly is, they can be used in the end as suggestions or final opinion. Even open-ended questions are posed at the end of the questionnaire. As a suggestion, you can ask them, as a final opinion about what exactly you want to say regarding this. So it can be included as in such way, right? So this was regarding open-ended questions. Coming to the close-ended questions. So close-ended questions are like, both the questions and response formats are structured and defined there. So the respondents only need to select the option that he feels are expressive of his opinion. So the respondent is just have to tick it that what exactly his opinion is, right? And usually under closed-ended there are three types: dichotomous, multiple responses, and scales. As most of us know, I won't go in detail of this particular thing. That is, dichotomous means these are restrictive alternatives and provide the respondents only with two answers. That is either yes or no, normal or premium, fixed or flexible, true or false. So there is two are there, that is similar or different, married or unmarried. So in such a way, this is in dichotomous questions. They are the easiest type of questions to code and analyze. And even they are constructed on the nominal level of measurement and are categorical or binary in nature. Even where it is very important that whenever you are trying to choose the type of questions you are going to include, it should try to convey exact question, right? I will quote one example in this regard. That is, two questions asked at different places in a questionnaire were as follows. Do you think management schools should permit laptops in school? Yes or no, right? Even it can be posed in another way, that is, do you think management schools should forbid laptops in class? That is, refuse to allow laptops in class. So even that is, you are trying to figure out if it is the particular question need to be posed properly so that the respondent can answer it very properly. Yeah. And coming to the multiple responses, unlike dichotomous questions, the person is given a number of response alternatives here. So multiple responses, that is why it is named as. He might be asked to choose the one that is most applicable. For example, here I would like to quote, that is, question was given to a retailer who is currently not selling organic food products. So will you consider selling organic food products in your store? So the options can be definitely not in the next 1 year, undecided, or probably not in the next 1 year, or definitely in the next 1 year. So these are the options, and based on these options he will be trying to, that is based on the multiple responses, he will be choosing the best one which fits for him, right, according to his opinion. Then comes is that is even here you can use checklist where he can tick on multiple things rather than on ticking on one thing only. So yeah, and order of position or location bias can be managed in a schedule by shuffled response cards. Also, even we can use response cards also here to get the response of the particular persons. And the third one, last one, is the scales. Scales refers to the attitudinal scales that is based on the level of measurements. We try to use scales. For example, here it can be we have seen the earlier example of strongly disagree, right, agree, neutral, and strongly agree. So these scales you are trying to use. There are Likert scales and many scales which will be discussed in the which can be Likert scales, and there are many of the scales which can be used here, even scaling from 1 to 5, right, and then you ask them to rate also, even that is a sort of scales. So you will be trying to find out, determine the types of questions required in your questionnaire based on with this particular things. Clear? Coming to our major part is the questionnaire structure. The step 1 in the questionnaire structure is specify objective of the research. That is, the questionnaire should start with an objective specified to the participants for which the survey is carried out. So this gives an idea to participants and a trust is created. Whenever you are creating a questionnaire, remember students, that is you have to specify the objectives to the respondents, because because it is called as an ethical practice to provide the information to the respondents. If you are trying to provide them what exactly your objective is, the respondent tries to be fair enough to provide his answers. So here I have quoted one example, that is, the main objective of the survey is to understand the consumer buying behavior in a shopping mall. This research will help in providing more prompt and satisfied service to customers. So here a survey is conducted on understanding the consumer buying behavior in a shopping mall. So based on that, that is why the objective is mentioned. So that is why the researcher is telling here that this research will help in providing more prompt and satisfied service to customer. So he is trying to tell that if you provide me what exactly you want, then I can provide you more prompt and satisfied service to the customer. So got the idea? So that is why objective need to be mentioned. This is the first step of any questionnaire. The second step is, next part of questionnaire should include instructions to participants. Even this need to be included so that these instructions will comfort the participants to answer the questions. Usually it is seen that whenever the respondent is trying to answer to a questionnaire, if he's under stress or something, he tries to provide an biased answer, or in a mood the answer differ, right? So by providing some steps, what happens is, like, you're trying to gain the attention of the particular respondent. I have quoted one example here. Instructions, that is, all the questions are quite general and simple, but if there are any queries, then feel free to ask. So you are trying to tell them that they are very simple, we need your some time, and then you can and even if you find any difficulties, you can feel free to ask us. The questionnaire is solely for academic purpose or exercise, so please feel free and spare time to give us the information. So you are trying to plead them, right? So even it tries to generate a positive effect on the particular respondent. The data provided by you will be anonymous and confidential too. This is very important. In the ethical practices of research, it is said that the data provided by the particular respondent should be anonymous, because some of the people, what they tend to happen is like they don't want to give the answers because they might be afraid that, oh, my name, if it is revealed, and if they say that I have given this information, right? So that is why you are trying to inform them that it will be that is, the data provided by you will be anonymous and even confidential too. So that this step also have to be included. And even whenever you are designing a questionnaire, we have to put instructions, and these instructions have to be included there. Coming to the step 3 is the questionnaire part starts here. In the starting, general questions such as name, address, age in years, occupation, relationship status, gender should be posed. It includes the demographic and information about the participant, which helps in analyzing the research. So here we are trying to get the demographic information of the respondent. So even here, based on your requirement, you can go with the gender, male, female, age, educational background. I have quoted 2 examples, different things which have household income also has been asked. If you are doing the survey on financial investments of customers at Mumbai, so at that time you might go with the household income also here, right? So that question can be posed. So this questionnaire part starts here with general information about their name, gender, age. You can include in this particular part. Coming to the step 4, this includes the questions related to research objective should start here. Generally here, dichotomous questions such as yes or no, which we have discussed in the earlier part of the video, even true or false should be used, or general questions related to research should be used here. So should be asked to get a view of what customer thinks about the research topic and to give an idea on what the next question can be also, right? So here if you see, I have quoted 2 examples. That is airport usage they wanted to ask, right? So they wanted to do the survey on the airport usage. So firstly we would like to ask you about your recent travel by air. So in the last 12 months, how many trips did you make departing from so and so airport for leisure or for business purpose, right? So you are asking some general questions to make the particular respondent aware of the particular topic. That is, oh, you are going to ask some general questions only, right? So even the second example also we can go with that is job analysis questionnaire. So you can see the first part has been included, name, phone number and everything, and then what is the primary purpose of your position, and provide a brief summary of your job, right? Then you are going for the what would you consider is the general summary of your duties and responsibilities. What does your typical day look like? So you are asking him, see the way the particular question has been posed, that is, what does your typical day look like? So you are trying to make him comfort that, oh, what does your day? So you are making him think a bit. So you are trying to make him that, oh, you have to think, you have to start see guys, even it is very important that they should be made thinking, that is, you should encourage them to think so that they can think in a that is, they can go for the particular right answer, that is, they can provide you with the right information which you are trying to, that is, which is required for the particular research, right? So that is, you are trying to boost them at this particular position. In the step 4, you are trying to boost them that, okay, you have to think and you have to answer properly, because by thinking only you can say that, okay, whether I go with this or that, right? So that is what happens in the step 4. And even we can say that non-formalized unconcealed questions are usually asked here. As I have said, unconcealed and non-formalized questions, that is general questions we are trying to get, even some information can be derived from this. So that is why even we can post such questions also, and it can range from 3 to 4 questions maximum. Even it is called as a screening questions also, right? Step 5, that is, now be specific of your research questions here. You need to be specific here, that is what exactly are your research objective, and based on that what questions are there, you are going to pose it in this particular step. That is, using rating scale, Likert scale in this part of questionnaire will be best, and even checklist options can be used for this purpose. 4 to 5 questions of such type should be included. This comes under formalized concealed questionnaire, which can be which has been discussed earlier, right? Formalized and concealed they are. You can see the examples, right? Here I have quoted one example of quality of life questionnaire. So you can see that is they are trying to find out what the quality of life you are going to have. So answers to be based on eyesight only, so not any other reason. I have difficulty reading because of my eyesight, right? So here quality of life based on the things. I have difficulty recognizing faces. I have trouble threading a needle. So here you are trying to see that is quality of life based on your eyes. So that is why these particular questions have been posed. So based on the functionality, as you can see, based on the functionality, 7 questions have been posed. And on the right side of yours, you can see that is responses all the time, most of the time, sometimes, and never. That is, the scale has been used here, right, which we have discussed earlier. That is scaling. Usually scale type of questionnaires have to be used in this particular section. And you can even see, you can make sections in this particular area, in this particular thing. That is, first you have a post on functionality, and then well-being, that is indicate the response which best describes how you feel. I feel embarrassed because of my eyesight. I feel like a burden because of my eyesight. My poor eyesight interferes with my life, right? So all these things comes in between, right? So visual quality of life, that is how exactly they that is, this is an example which I have tried to pose here. And these are the questions where an analysis and interpretation can be derived. And even with whatever results, whatever responses you have got from various respondents, various tests such as t-test, chi-square, ANOVA, association, regression can be applied to the data obtained from these questions. So be clear and specific in designing this part, as it contributes to the survey results and major findings. So that is why be specific and be clear and be up to the point, whatever you require. Even you can sometimes, as we have said, this is a formalized concealed questionnaire. You can conceal and you can try to derive the information, right? So be clear in what exactly you want to derive, that is what exactly you answers for the particular questions you want to know, right? It provides strong decision making path in many business research. So even it provides a strong decision making path in many of the business research. So that is why this particular step plays an important role. Even I have quoted 2 examples here. Personal health questionnaire, it is based on the health things. 2 questionnaires are there, but there is a lot of difference between both of the questionnaires. Here I want to convey that one thing to you, that the questionnaire can be designed based on your own requirements. There is no fixed format of a questionnaire. Only I could say the structure can be there, but the how you are going to carry out your own questionnaire, it depends totally upon the researcher, the way he wants. You can see that is personal health questionnaire. There is a depression scale. He has used the scale of not at all, several days, more than half days, nearly every day. So he has posed 8 questions, and based on that he has tried to derive the question. And the next one, other part, if you see, food and health problem questionnaire. So he has done some sections based on the expert advice, food groups, and then choosing foods, and then health problems. So he has tried to relate then based on that. So based on your research objectives, you try to find out which exactly how you are going to design your questionnaire, right? And what part you are going to include, what part you are not going to include. It totally depends upon the researcher, how he is going to design that particular questionnaire. Step 6 is the last part of the questionnaire, is to include some questions which can be general and specific too, which can support previous questions. So conclusive questions have to be posed here, but some information should also be derived for analysis purpose. So a rating scale can also be used, or open-ended questions can also be posed here. So a research to ascertain, for example, I have quoted here, a research to ascertain the attitude of Delhi shoppers towards mall shopping experience. So a particular survey has been, a research was trying to be conducted on to find out the attitude of Delhi shoppers towards mall shopping experience. So at the end, these two questions were posed. That is, how would you classify your spending behavior? On the spot mode, planned purchases, or linked spending? That is, example, eating out if you have come for shopping. So would you like to suggest some improvements to be done in mall shopping experience? So even this is an example which can be included in the particular, that is how you have to post the ending part of a questionnaire. So we have seen the steps, right? Step 1 to 6. That is, step 1 was including a particular, that is what exactly are your research objectives, and then step 2 was you are trying to give instructions that your data won't be revealed to others, and it is safe, and it is very normal questions have been asked. You are trying to comfort him there. And then in the step 3 you ask the demographic information such as name, age, and everything, right? And in the step 4 you have been asking the starting phase of the questionnaire. It was included, that is, you were asking general questions related to your research topic. And coming to the step 5, it was in detail research topic questions which were formalized and concealed one. They were, right, where exactly the data have to be derived, right? And then the step 6 was the last, that is, this is the last part of the questionnaire, where exactly it is to include some questions which can be helpful for letting know what exactly the particular opinion, and even it can be an open-ended questions, and even a rating scale also can be used here. That is, you can ask them to rate that what exactly your experience is towards this particular brand of Nokia, right? Then you can ask them to rate it, right? So rating questionnaires also can be used at the end, and these questions also help in deriving some conclusion. That is overall we can try to find out what exactly the particular respondent feels about the particular research topic. So this is the way a particular questionnaire need to be designed, right? So once these steps have been followed, taking into consideration earlier formats, that is formalized, concealed, and everything, and which questions need to be included, open-ended or close-ended, let's see what's the next step of designing a question. That is the last, this is the last step, that is pilot testing. That is, before you publish a particular questionnaire to someone, to the respondents, you need to do a pilot testing among yourself. You should give it to the particular your friends, only 2-3 friends, and you can ask them that what exactly do you feel, do I need to change some questions here? So this helps in taking the feedback and then improving your questionnaire. This is a very good step. That is, you are doing pilot testing and you are trying to find out whether you are getting the whatever questions answers or not, right? Whatever are the research objectives, based on that, are you getting some question answers based on your objectives? So you are doing pilot testing, you are taking feedback, and then you are improving your questionnaire, and then administering the questionnaire to the particular people and asking them to please give your opinion. And based on that, you are trying to find out the you are applying some tests, and then you are trying to get some findings, and based on that you are trying to see that where can be innovations, can there be any more innovations in this particular area. Now assignment time. So a small assignment have been posted in this particular video. If possible, please try to do it. An academic study was conducted across various IT companies to find out the percentage hike in the compensation. That is, how much percentage hike in the compensation or pay package at which employees are ready to forgo better growth and development opportunities. That is, IT companies want to do a survey, research, that how much percentage hike in the compensation can make them retain rather than forgo, and make them forgo better growth and development opportunities, right? So that is trying to find out the association between pay package and growth and development opportunities. So for this, design a questionnaire, and if possible, please post it on the comments. I would like to give feedback on it, and maybe I can also learn a lot from you. So stay connected, and thank you.